Another Sunday night of great content, looking back to the Chicago Bulls championship run, The Last Dance documentary, episodes 5 and 6.
I would like to offer Ewan Rivers, even though she is not here, the chance to formally apologize to me for wanting this all at once. Because there can be no doubt with each passing Sunday that breaking this thing up was the better option.
You will never hear an apology from me on that, because if you'd have dumped all 10 on the opening night, I'd still be into it. I would have watched all 10 on opening night. It's fantastic.
Look at the content we're getting, though. Look at the content we're getting
radio
here every
show
Monday.
Standpoint, it's good.
That's what I'm saying. Every Monday, it's something to look forward to, which I feel like I have so little to look forward to nowadays. Maybe that says more about my priorities in a normal world, about where I play sports on that priority list, but I just don't have a lot of stuff that I'm like really hyped on, looking forward to watch, and it's just been such a Sunday night treat. I mean, even last night, I'm going to be completely honest. 8 o'clock rolled around. I just gotten the kid to bed. I'm like a little tired. I was like, I don't know if I got 2 hours in me. I mean, I started the thing and I couldn't look away. I was sucked in. Like, you watch 2 minutes and then you're sucked in. You're done. It was incredible again last night. I mean, so many places to start. Jordy, as the resident Jordan expert, I'll let you take this where you want to go first.
Well, I think you have to start with the opening scene of the night with Kobe, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it was a beautiful story. It was a great tribute to start the episode with the in loving memory of Kobe Bean Bryant after his tragic death in late January, and to see his point of view of what Jordan meant to him, because for so many, and I consider myself one of the lucky ones who had a chance to really experience Michael Jordan in his prime as a kid, and then as a young adult, watch Kobe kind of bloom into this Michael Jordan-type player in the league. So you really saw the similarities, and to hear Kobe's point of view of how much Jordan meant to him as a kid growing up, and then to finally be able to put his hands on him and guard him in an all-star game, and to see how fast he was, how strong he was, the effort and energy that he played with on the floor, and getting a chance to just pick his brain and talk to him. And, I mean, they had those mic'd-up conversations about Kobe asking him about his turnaround jumper there on the floor.
Yeah.
And then Kobe going into, just about how much Mike meant to him on his 5 championships. And then, like you said, the line of the night by Kobe was saying, I don't get my 5 championships. You don't experience Kobe Bryant without Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how much he meant to Bryant and his greatness. So I think that was a fantastic starting point for last night, but there were so many highs.
Well, I would say, to jump in on the Kobe thing, my favorite part of the Kobe portion of the episode was actually something that didn't involve Kobe. It was and this is kind of in line with my other favorite part, which is the Dream Team practice. I love the footage of all the greats kind of hanging out with each other, and when the Eastern Conference All-Stars are sitting there pregame talking about Kobe Bryant, who at that point in the league, I think he'd been in the league for a year and a half.
1 year.
And they're talking about this dude like he's a killer, and like how crazy he is, and how he's going to come at you every time, and Michael knows he's going to try to make it one-on-one with him every single time. It's just the respect
that you see the greatest in the game at that time, because you saw the amount of respect that MJ had amongst his peers. They left that front seat for him open in the team picture of the All-Star game that night, and you could see the people kind of fawning around him, not the people outside of the picture, his peers, like the players in the league, the respect he had for him. And to hear Jordan talk about Kobe like the young Laker, he's going to be playing.
The young Laker.
The young Laker. He's going to try to play above the rim. We're going to work his ass on the defensive end. I mean, like to see him, the amount of respect that he was giving Kobe in that moment, it was cool. I mean, the footage, the things that you're getting the access to, the behind the scenes, and then taking you back to MSG for Jordan's final game as a Bull there in the regular season, where he breaks out the Jordan 1s and his feet are bleeding at halftime, but he's pouring it on the Knicks. Patrick Ewing comes in the locker room after the game, and him and Jordan going back and forth.
Why do you have to do Ewing like that, though? Going back to the Georgetown championship, bro.
Go back to 84 to whip your ass. Right?
Hey, come on, dude. MJ, you ain't beat Pat enough in your life that you still got to throw it in his face?
Pat was one of his whooping boys.
That's what I'm saying, dude. He beat him on every level, and Ewing was a beast, and Ewing got close. I mean, to go up 2-0 on that team was an accomplishment.
Also, another takeaway for me last night is that David Falk, I didn't know how much influence he had on the Michael Air Jordan brand and the meeting at Nike.
Yeah,
like,
wow.
Jordan did not want to take that meeting. His mom has to get on the phone and pretty much like parent force him at the time to get on the plane and at least go listen to what Nike has to say. And Nike rolls out this offer. And really kind of looking back on it, it's kind of crazy to think about that you took a chance on this young and up to that point, still unproven to a degree.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you even hear the Nike executive that's in the that's in the documentary last night saying, like, we're going to pay him what? Because at the time, I mean, shoe contracts were, for the high-end guys, were demanding $100,000, $120,000. Jordan goes and sits down, and he gets $250,000.
Yeah, and here's what's crazy about that. I found this online. So Nike said that they hope to do $3 million in Air Jordan sales by year 4 when they signed Michael Jordan. So they wanted $3 million in sales by year 4. They did $126 million in year 1. So even though that $250,000 contract was exorbitant by the current standards, he completely, the same way that he kind of, even more so, he just completely rewrote the game on endorsements and shoe deals and what that could do for you and raise it to a level that had never been seen before.
And to have the foresight at that time in his career of the creating the image and the brand, I mean, kind of going into work in the boardrooms and showing him in the rooms, kind of going through that business process was interesting as well. But David Falk coming up with Air Jordan, like,
genius.
I mean just to see how that stuff happens and how it sticks. And then kind of, moving along through the documentary, the 1992 championship where Magic Johnson is on the call for NBC. He goes to Jordan's house the night before Game 1, and you can see that, to me, this is the greatness of Michael Jordan. This is what makes him fantastic. And when there's any comparison to even any modern-day athlete, LeBron would pop to mind, that it's just different. At that point, people were trying to compare Clyde Drexler and Michael Jordan's game.
Yeah.
And you can see the fury that Jordan has at the time, even when he's recounting the story in 2018. I think they shot this documentary 2019. 2018 is when they shot the footage. But, I mean, you can see that he still takes offense to people comparing Clyde Drexler, who was one of the best basketball players in the world at the time. I mean,
Hall of Famer, one of the best ever.
Yes, absolutely. Another participant of the Dream Team, won at every level. I mean, Clyde Drexler is a big-time basketball player. And
Yep.
at that point in 1992 was at the top of his game compared to, his airness, Jordan. And Jordan just talked about how, look, this is no slight on Clyde. This is not to be this is not to take a slight at Clyde, but him being compared to me at the time, I took offense to.
A lot of people got put in Jordan's crosshairs indirectly, and that was highlighted last night. Like, if I'm Clyde, I'm like, what the hell, man? But the guy who should really be saying what the hell is Tony Kukoc, because Jerry Krause,
Dan Marley.
Dan Marley, and I mean,
Dan Marley.
actually, I kind of want to tip of the cap to Krause here, though. Some 4D motivational techniques as he learned that, okay, if I make the team hate me, and then anybody I like they hate by extension, well, all I have to do is act like I like the guys that they're playing, and they're going to want to demean them. They're going to they're going to want to kill him.
Did you see Krause ask Jordan for a cigar after the championship?
It's going to stunt your growth. I mean, the amount of motivation that Pippen and Jordan seem to draw off of just tearing down Jerry Krause's favorite idols, like favorite players, it's unreal. And I cannot imagine being a young Tony Kukoc and in a war-torn, in a war-torn former Yugoslavia. You're walking into this Olympic game, you're like, oh yeah, I'm going to play with the pros. You have no idea what you're stepping into. The amount of hostility that he's suddenly confronted with. And I read a great article by Steve Kerr on ESPN that was actually released last week, and Kerr talked about it, man, that continued into Chicago.
Yeah.
They rode his ass when he finally ended up in Chicago. And then finally, Kukoc, just through playing well, working hard, like he ended up earning the respect of those guys, and they're all cool now. But as Kerr points out, it was just, the road that he had to go to gain that acceptance and what he was put through. It was really tough, and it was due to no fault of his own.
We can lay that at the feet of Krause because Krause was taking the 1993 season and missing half the year while he was scouting Kukoc and coming back and telling all the team that the future lies in Croatia with the Chicago Bulls. And once they got their hands on him, and this to me has been the peak of the documentary, and I will go as far as to say the rest of the episodes better have something very special if they want to top what they showed what happened in Madrid or excuse me in Monte Carlo with the Dream Team. The practices.
That was the best.
The behind the scenes with the practice in Monte Carlo,
incredible,
which is called the best basketball game that has ever been played. If you remember, Brendan Surr was a part of Johnny Jones' LSU basketball staff a couple of years ago, and they had John Treloar, which really was probably the turning point of Johnny Jones' basketball career. Don't let me get sidetracked. But Brendan Surr was hired by Johnny Jones when John Treloar did not take the job. Brendan Surr was Chuck Daly's top assistant for the Detroit Pistons. He was on the Dream Team's coaching staff. He came into the studio one day and told Panamsky and I stories about the Dream Team. And we had him on the air, but he hung out after and was just going into some of the stories about what happened in that gym in Monte Carlo that day. And it's exactly what the Last Dance documentary described last night, in which Sir was telling us it was a transition in power in the NBA. Like it happened in front of everybody's eyes. The best players in the world were confined to one gym. I mean, think about it. Stockton, Malone, Barkley, Robinson, Magic, Bird, all of those guys are in one gym playing pickup basketball. And at the time, Magic is kind of the leader of the crew. He had been out for a while, but he still has that crown. And Jordan just swipes it off of his head. And for the first time...
Well, Magic kind of asked for it. He screwed up.
I mean, he's got a big ego.
That's what I'm saying.
It's
like he said, why do you ever say you're going to have to be Air Jordan?
You're going to have to turn into Michael Air Jordan.
Like, why poke the bear? He could have chilled.
But aren't we glad he did?
Yeah.
And this is what happened. I mean, you get this sound, you get the trash talking, Jordan telling Magic, this is the 90s. Oh. Magic saying, what's that mean? And he just looking at it and said, this is the 90s.
Like, you know what that means, old man.
You know exactly
what that means, old man. Your time is done. I am the man now.
I mean,
who was it that called him the Alpha? Because that's what that was. That was establishing himself as...
That was the PR guy from the NBA that was traveling with them, handling the media relations at the time, talking about it. That was exactly what Brendan Surr said that day. It was a transition in power of the NBA right in front of your eyes. You saw the power of the league being taken from Magic and Bird to a degree. Bird had already kind of given it up. He was hurt. He wasn't playing. But, I mean, Jordan just... running away with it and becoming the alpha among the alphas.
Yeah, which I mean it's just so it's these and that's what's so shocking to me, or that really speaks to more than anything I've seen thus far, as to like why Jordan is the greatest of all time, is the respect that he commands from his peers. Because guys like Charles Barkley, Magic Johnson, these are some of the most competitive people you'll ever meet, the same way that Michael Jordan is. They have the biggest egos too, and yet they're still willing to sit there and defer. Like when Charles Barkley's like, look, man, sports are like a gunfight. Okay.
Yeah. And got beat by the quickest gun.
Yeah, and he has the quickest gun. Like that. It is what it is. And to get prime Hall of Fame, top 50 players of all time to show that amount of respect and deference, you have to really flat out prove that you're just better than them, that there's nothing they can do, and they believe they can do everything. Charles Barkley believes he can do everything. Magic Johnson, too, and they did. But Michael Jordan showed them you can't beat me, and it's just it was fascinating to see that evolution during the Dream Team last night. Also, a lesson for everybody out there, Isaiah Thomas, you trolled too hard, dude. I mean, you made everybody hate you, and it worked, and you were pissed, and you won a couple championships, but nobody wanted to hang out with you.